Captain Kirk, months ago you served up a win at the Meadowlands. Now, we beg you to help us with our struggles against the Giants. We've placed information vital to the survival of the Redskins in this podcast. This is our most desperate hour. Help us, Kirk Cousins. You're our only hope.
Welcome to the Hogsty with your crew, Adam Tereski, Alex Zeese, Sean Conti, and Steve Thomas. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome back to the Hogsty, everybody. This is Alex with you. I am back from my nice little Christmas vacation to New York. It wasn't so nice for me, actually, because I had to deal with a bunch of Giants fans that are in my family. But with me, of course, I have Steve. Hey, Steve.
Hey,
happy holidays to you.
Yeah,
happy New Year coming up.
Yeah, happy holidays, happy New Year to you and to everyone else out there. I mean, it's I don't know if I'm the only idiot here who made every show over the holidays, and I'm not sure quite what that says about me. But we have another limited
you don't
crew
leave your
here.
House. That's what it says about you.
I guess not. I guess I don't. I love the intro. We've got the Star Wars reference, in your intro, which is super cool because we're all big Star Wars fans on this show. So I like that.
We had sad news as Star Wars fans, so I thought it was an appropriate homage.
God bless and God rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah,
AKA
one
Princess
of
Leia.
my favorites, for Blues Brothers. I'll put that movie out there too. Great.
Was she in the Blues
movie.
Brothers?
Yeah,
didn't
she
know
plays
that.
the ex-wife of John Belushi, who shoots at him with a rocket launcher.
Princess Leia was the ex-wife of John Belushi, huh? In the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, God rest her soul wherever her soul is.
Yeah. And in an awkward segue, speaking of people who are now resting for a long time, let's get into the Redskins news this week. Let's start with some roster moves, including a big guy going on IR this week.
Yes, and just to be clear, Dante Whitner is not dead. He's just on IR. He has a quad injury, and because we're in the last
week, there are fans who would gladly have traded Whitner for Fisher, but.
Well, and I don't understand the hate. I mean, has he played well? No, I don't hate the guy. I mean, he's just kind of washed up as a football player. But God bless him.
Yeah, I know. I just like teasing.
Yeah, but no, Whitner went on IR, and so we re-signed Josh Evans, who fans may remember from a while ago. He's been with us before, and he is back now on the active roster. And so, and by the way, and let's just do injuries at the same time.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have some DB problems here because we've got Sua Cravens has got an upper arm problem who did not practice on Wednesday, and Jay Gruden said something to the effect of it doesn't look good for Sua. He was going to move to strong safety. And so now we lost Whitner, who's been playing strong safety, and we lost Cravens. And so we're down to, help me out. We're down to Blackman, Everett,
Everett, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any...
No. We're missing somebody. See, this is why we need to have my handy dandy roster chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not looking good. Well, you look it up, double check the roster, and see who's actually going to be back there. I think we're going to be on probably our 6th or 7th different combination of starting safeties.
Oh,
now,
at least, yeah,
if not more. I mean, I loved the news that
Duke Nacho is who the last one is. Duke
right.
Nacho.
How could we forget the Nacho?
Well, it's important to remember about.
Nacho.
It's important to remember that with this is that none of these guys are really free safeties.
No,
I guess Will Blackman may be the closest, but none of them are free safety. Yeah,
he's a corner playing safety.
It's just well, let's get through the injuries here real fast. That's where I started on them.
MASH unit.
Yeah, it's a MASH unit thing. Chris Baker didn't practice Wednesday with his ankle injury. Quentin Dunbar is still got his concussion. He's still in the concussion protocol. He did not practice Wednesday. Will Compton has a knee problem, limited practice. Rob Kelly, things are looking decent for Rob Kelly. The MRI on his knee came out negative, meaning they didn't find structural damage, and he practiced to a limited extent Wednesday. So I would assume if I had to guess, I would assume Kelly will probably go on Sunday.
Okay.
It seems like it's trending that direction. Ryan Kerrigan and his elbow had a limited practice. Spencer Long, ankle. Trent Murphy, foot. Jordan Reed and his shoulder did practice in a limited fashion Wednesday, so that is a good thing. Assuming we see the real Jordan Reed and not the awful facsimile thereof like we saw last weekend. Yeah. And Martrell Spate, shoulder problem, and Brashad Breeland has a minor ankle problem, but he practiced. And so that is the Redskins. Now, I'd just like to point out for the Giants, since we're doing this, the Giants are in fairly decent shape, but they have two big guys who are injured. Jason Pierre-Paul, core muscle problem, did not practice at all. And then Janoris Jenkins, back problem, limited practice. So keep an eye out on those two because those are
Janoris Jenkins.
Yeah, those are big starters.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely going into the latter half of the season more banged up than you'd want. The Sua Cravens one is, to me, the biggest hole for our when you list all of our injuries.
Yeah.
Even bigger than Jordan Reed because we are more desperate for good help on the defense, I think.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that they decided to move Sua now.
Yeah.
You know, you're in week 17. He's been playing I don't know why they had him playing inside linebacker in the first place, first of all.
Because we don't have smart people coaching our defense.
Well, there you go. I mean, everybody, all you guys out there who hate Joe Barry, I mean, I don't hate the guy. I'm kind of with you. A lot of dumb decisions have been made, and that might be one of them. But why would you move him in the last game of the season? I just didn't really get it. You know, it doesn't matter now anyway. He's probably not going to play, but that seemed dumb.
Right.
Because who knows if he can play? You know, that's the thing. Maybe he's a better inside linebacker. Who knows?
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think they need to give him a shot at safety just out of need more than anything else. But, you know, that's part of the game is understanding injuries. Let's kind of move on, though, and talk about the whole playoff scenario just to make sure people understand where the Redskins are.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, I think, right? It's
yes.
Win, and we're almost definitely in unless there's a tie in Green Bay versus Detroit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird trying to rooting for something that's not a tie. You know, it's a very odd thing to be rooting for, I think. And the reason, just in case everybody knows, you know, I don't want to bore everybody to tears, but if you know the Lions have the tiebreaker over us, you know, and so if they tie, they have the same record, and we win, they end up with the same record as us, and then you know they have the tiebreaker. But I think Green Bay has the tiebreaker over them. So Green Bay would be the division champ. Detroit would be in second place, but they would tied with our tie. You know, they'd have the same record as us, but they have the tiebreaker over us. So that's why we can't have a tie.
9-6-1 record.
Yeah,
in that case.
But I think I saw a stat which said there's never been a tie in the 17th week of the season ever. Sure. I think so. Let's hope.
I think you know, both those teams are going to be playing hard for that game, you know, for obvious reasons. But I think both teams are going to be playing hard in our game, too. You know, I'm seeing everything from New York is the Giants aren't going to rest guys. They're going to come at us full throttle. To throw another Star Wars reference in there really quick.
You're in a Star Wars mood today. Well, what are they going to say? I mean, he's not going to – the coach isn't going to say, McAdoo – I mean, isn't that the coach? He's not going to come out and say on Wednesday, yeah, we're just going to throttle it back here, and you know, we're just going to try to get through the game and look forward to the playoffs. That's not going to be his Wednesday speech. You know, even if he does that, that's not going to be what he tells the media on Wednesday. So, you know, I think we'll just have to see who actually shows up. And I think, you know, the very first big hit that Eli Manning takes from Ryan Kerrigan, that dude's going to be out of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he didn't have a good game last week, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But there's one thing I want to talk about before we get into the whole Redskins-Giants offense-defense, and that was a story by Cindy, our beloved Cindy Bourne, who had a pretty extensive interview with a player from the Eagles who is Deshaun Jackson's close friend on the Eagles. And the story is, long story short, it looks like Deshaun Jackson has been courting a return to the Eagles all season. Behind the scenes. And I don't know if that's what your takeaway was, Steve, but I took that away, and it really irritates the hell out of me that the idea that a player would be already thinking about going back to another team next year.
I mean, there's no other way to take Cindy's article. First of all, maybe the guy wasn't telling the truth. And look the name up real fast because I just can't remember who it was off the top of my head. There's no other two ways to take it. That is what the player said. Now is it true? I don't know. I mean, remember what Joel Corey told us a month ago when we interviewed Joel? You and I did. We asked him about that very point, and Joel said, "Wow, it's probably just the agent putting stuff out." This isn't that because this is coming directly from the mouth of a player. It'd be a lie if I said it didn't irritate me a lot, a little bit at least, rather. It does, but these are just two guys talking, and the conversation got publicized. I mean, how many times does that happen? Who knows what the context was? Maybe it could have been just Deshaun not wanting to, put out his friend. I mean, who knows? So I think without knowing the context, it's it's tough to get too mad about it. Although it did irritate me. Yes.
Yeah. It's Brandon Graham, by the way, was the Eagles player who was saying this, that Jackson basically said, "Tell the coach to come get me," right at the start of this season. It irritates me. You have to wonder if that's why Jackson kind of plays a little bit more conservative in years like this.
I don't think he is playing more conservative, though.
You don't? Because, we've definitely seen a few times where he's pulled up on, what could be.
Yeah, but he's been running drag routes, square ins right across the middle. He hasn't gotten injured. And a lot of those balls Kirk has thrown this year deep to him have been badly thrown balls. Kirk's I don't want to get the Kirkistans Team Kirk guys all riled up on me, but I mean, he's not the greatest deep ball thrower in the world. For all his strengths,
I think most people would admit that.
Yeah, that's not his greatest strength. So he's missed Deshaun a whole bunch of times this year. And, Deshaun has pulled up on some of those balls that were just uncatchable for sure. But, I've seen him run routes that he doesn't normally run this year. So I don't know if he really is taking it easy. Yeah, and listen, I've got some numbers on Deshaun. You want to hear some numbers on Deshaun?
His numbers are good. All receivers' numbers are pretty impressive when you look at them.
He's second in the NFL in yards per catch, 18 yards per catch. He's got 971 yards on the season, which for a guy who's not our number one option is pretty darn good.
Yeah. And he's shown up lately with Jordan Reed out. I'll give him credit there.
I mean, Deshaun is the stereotypical mercurial wide receiver. In the vein of Randy Moss and Terrell Owens and Chris Carter and guys that have a lot of attitude, guys who have a lot of ego.
Bit of a diva.
Yeah, diva is a better word for it, I guess. That's kind of Deshaun, and he fits in that mold exactly, and that is him. I don't know. I'm not going to get too worked up over it until I see. The only thing I'll say about it, and maybe we need to move on, is you can't just throw another speed guy out there and expect him to be Deshaun Jackson. You can't just run Deshaun. The fans, for those of you who are rooting for him to leave because of this article, you can't just go find, the next Aldrick Robertson and throw him out there and expect him to do as well. Because Deshaun Jackson is a special talent, and it's not just because of his speed.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, I still tend to be on the let's move on from him side because of age, where, what we're spending on wide receivers, that kind of stuff. But, I was really annoyed to read that article. And what annoys me more, I guarantee you the NFL is not going to do any kind of investigation on the Eagles for kind of talking to these players.
Well, I mean,
when they're on other teams.
Where's the tampering?
Yeah,
Brandon Graham isn't. Yeah, I mean, Brandon Graham isn't necessarily representative of the Eagles. This is just two guys talking on the phone. I don't know if that really is tampering.
Yeah.
If he's contacting Deshaun as a quasi under the table official representative of the Eagles, that's one thing. But if these are just two friends talking, I don't know if that really is tampering. That's where it's hard
to prove. I understand that, but it sure does look like he's just playing the go-between between the Eagles organization
It looked to me like there's just
Yeah.
babble on the phone. And we'll know more when Deshaun signs with the Eagles in
Yeah.
March.
Yeah, the day after his contract's up.
Exactly right.
Right. Well, speaking of the Eagles, they beat the Giants. Pretty interesting game last week on Thursday night. I kind of dug the Giants throwback helmet. I'm just going to say that real quick. I like that 80s look, but that's
Uniform
here or
nerd
there.
alert. Uniform nerd alert.
Yeah, I know. The one thing about that game, going back and watching some highlights, the Giants dominated that game, yet lost for the most part. Like if you look at the stats, if you look at just rewatching it, the Giants are the better team, but Eli threw 3 picks, and that's really what kind of sealed the deal for them.
Well, yes. Along those lines, yes, they did have a lot of. They put up 470 yards total offense against the Eagles. 356 yards in the air. The Eagles only had 286 yards total offense, and yes, there were a lot of turnovers. But I'd like to point out, I'll read 4 numbers: 19,
right.
17, 10, and 14. You know what that is?
A bunch of quarterbacks who were average to below average.
No, those are the number of points that the New York Giants have scored in their last 4 games.
Oh,
19,
wow.
17, 10, and 14. The Giants have not scored more than 28 points this entire season. They have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've only been above 27 times.
That's
including
below average.
Yeah, including us, against us. Let's just do Giants offense, I guess, since we're talking about this.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that's a more interesting thing to talk about with the Giants.
This is not a very good offense, okay?
It isn't.
They have a startling resemblance to the Redskins, but they're not quite as good, okay? Amazing. Eli Manning, 571 pass attempts.
Right.
Kirk Cousins, 571 pass attempts. Giants rushing, 358 attempts. Redskins rushing, 364 attempts.
So we're just edging them out there.
Yeah. It's, what is that? 6 carries difference, after 16 games or 15 games rather.
0.3 carries a game.
Yeah, but the Giants' offense just isn't very good. Because wherein Kirk Cousins has got 4,600 yards passing, Manning's at 3,847. His completion percentage 63%. He's thrown 16 interceptions, whereas Kirk has only thrown 10.
And that is a big difference there. 6 interceptions. Yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
That you would look at those numbers and think the Giants should be the ones fighting to get in the playoffs right now, not us.
Exactly. And they're they're 24th in the NFL in turnover ratio. They're -5. They're 25th in points. They've only scored 291 points. 24th in total yards. 29th in rushing yards. 30th in rushing yards per attempt. This is one team that should not run all over us. Their leading rusher is Jennings, and he's only averaging 3.3 yards per attempt.
Right. That almost sounds like our offense last year, if you're really thinking about it.
It's worse.
Yeah.
3.3 yards per attempt just doesn't cut it. Now Odell Beckham is for real. For all his attitude, and I know we did, we did the interview with the kicking net and all that, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And I can't stand
when?
Yeah, that was when our colleague Robbie. And by the way, Robbie got engaged. Robbie, for those of you out there, our former colleague and friend and still friend, Robbie Duncan got engaged today, Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
congratulations, Robbie. You got engaged. I'll even say you got engaged at Disney World. Good for you, Rob.
Yeah, I hope it. Yeah, best of luck to both of you.
Yeah.
But Beckham and all his attitude and his colored, frosted hair, and he's gonna marry the kicking. All that stuff is just irritating. Makes you want to punch him. But the guy's legit. 1,323 yards on the season, 96 receptions, which is 3rd in the NFL. He's 2nd in yardage. He's got 10 touchdowns. He's averaging almost 14 yards a catch, which for a number 1 option is pretty darn good. Beckham is serious, and if we can just have an honest moment here, he's gotten the better of Josh Norman on the field, I think.
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's always a fight.
Yes.
And I think they get into each other's heads in an amazing way.
Yes. They've been quiet this week though so far, which is good.
Yeah. The only person who I heard talking at all, and he wasn't saying any smack talk, was Cruz.
What did Victor Cruz say? I didn't see this.
Well, he just said a few things like, we're not lying down for this. We're getting this is a rivalry kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. Nothing crazy.
Well, and don't misunderstand me. I mean, Beckham hasn't just destroyed Josh Norman, but Beckham's one of these guys that can make some receptions on Josh,
right?
And can get some yardage. Whereas, Josh is going to shut down a guy like, who'd he shut down? The Martavis Bryant,
right.
Shut him down. Not Martavis Bryant. Yeah, Martavis Bryant.
Jeffrey last week.
Alshon Jeffrey, Jeffrey had the one long catch on him. Jamal and I talked about that play. But Beckham is a guy who is more athletic than Norman. He's probably faster, and for all the nonsense that's gone on between these two, and there's been a lot of it, and they're both at fault, Beckham is probably going to get his on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
One way or another.
Well, and I think,
they take him out.
We've talked about this ad nauseum. A good corner knows the other guy's getting his. So, you just got to work around it.
Yeah.
And really, other than those two receivers, you don't worry about anybody else on that Giants offense.
Yeah, I mean, Victor Cruz, like you said, but he's not having a huge year. He only has 37 receptions.
No, but he's dangerous. That's
really and truly. I mean, Sterling Shepard is the guy who's become more dangerous of these guys. I mean, he's got 62. He's a good weapon for the Giants. He's got 62 receptions on the year.
I didn't realize he had that many at this point. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, especially he's the guy's a rookie. He's one of these little fast guys, 5'10", and considering how badly, think about this, trips put out there by the Giants, Norman's going to have Odell all around the field, maybe even in the slot. I would be surprised if Norman didn't cover Odell all day long. Mm-hmm. And so then you got Breeland on the outside. Then we're probably down to Greg Toller,
right?
Because it looks like Quentin Dunbar is still going to be in the concussion protocol. Dunbar is Dunbar, yeah. And so so you've got Breeland and Toller rotating on Victor Cruz and Sterling Shepard.
Right.
Those guys are probably going to get. There's going to be yardage there, and there's going to be opportunities for them. To do well.
I kind of want to. I would kind of want to see Breeland put in the slot more often than not in that case. He's not ideal for it, but I think Toller's probably better on the outside in this kind of scenario.
I think so. I think you're right. I think Toller's better outside guy. Breeland, I don't think Breeland's ideal on the inside either, but he's better than Toller.
I think he's our best option right now. At one point.
Yeah, he's the best option we have.
Yeah.
It's certainly an area that they probably need to draft someone, in the offseason. But here's the point. We're probably not going to see a lot of running from this team. If Eli plays the whole game, and we're assuming, worst case scenario, this is going to be kind of a normal game, Eli's going to try and air it out because that's what he does.
Right.
He's not as efficient. He hasn't been as good as Kirk, but he's got three good weapons. In Shepard, Beckham, and Victor Cruz. And
he's still a capable veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I think Eli. I think Eli gets a lot of credit for the Super Bowls. Wherein if they didn't make those Super Bowls, I don't know if he would have all the accolades he had because his numbers just don't bear it out. His career numbers don't bear it out. His numbers this season don't bear it out. And that's a big reason why this offense isn't very effective.
I understand that. And, like I said, I was around a bunch of Giants fans all weekend. I had a lot of arguments with my uncle, who's a diehard season ticket holder up there.
What they have to say about the game?
About the Giants, this game?
This Redskins Giants, yeah.
I mean, they don't even, they're not worried about it because we're in the playoffs mode.
They don't care.
Yeah. As fans, they're like, whatever, we're in the playoffs, we're not worried about it. But they don't seem to think Eli's close to the tail. I'm like, he's 35. You got to start realizing his career is almost over.
It's hard to believe that Eli Manning's 35.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It went quick, right?
It really did. Well, let's talk about the Redskins defense here.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same old story, as it's been from week one with these guys. I mean, they give up a lot of yards. They give, they're the worst in the NFL now at opponent's third down conversion, ranked number 32 and last at 47.6%. They're terrible in the red zone. They're 26 in the NFL, almost 61% of opponents' trips to the end zone or red zone are touchdowns. There's nothing new we could possibly say at this point about this defense.
No. And
we know Joe Barry.
There is no solution coming around the corner.
No. We know, yes, Joe Barry's not done a good job. I think his game plans have been better in the second half of the season than in the first half. But I think he's way too stubborn. He's had guys playing out of position. He's slow to make changes. But as I've been saying this, and I take a lot of crap for it, on Twitter from our listeners and stuff.
And me.
Yeah, but, let's bring Vince Lombardi in and let him turn these guys into good defense. I challenge Vince to rise from the dead and take Ricky Jean-Francois and Cullen Jenkins and Ziggy Hood and Chris Baker and Will Compton and Mason Foster and turn that into a good defense. I challenge you, Vince.
Well,
you can't do
I
it.
counter that with Vince Lombardi was an offensive coach.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, I mean, I'll just say this. I look forward to seeing what Gus Bradley, Rex Ryan, and whoever else do with this defense.
I don't think that's going to happen, man. I mean,
no, I'm starting to hear more and more that they're going to give him one more chance.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, because I think they know. I mean, again, I want to emphasize, Joe Barry hasn't been particularly good, and nobody's trying to say he is, and I'm not trying to defend Joe Barry. All my point is that we have a very significant talent gap straight down the middle of the field. Our interior defensive line stinks. Chris Baker's the only worthy starter. Our both of our linebackers, while nice guys and fun on Twitter, and Will Compton's pretty smart, they're very unathletic. Right. And we have just a disaster zone, like a federally declared, official federally declared disaster area.
Right.
At safety.
Right.
You
just
cannot
caution tape right down the hash marks.
Exactly. I mean, even a great coach can only cover up so many defects. That's all my point is.
And I like giving him crap, but
yeah,
I agree. We just don't have the weapons on defense.
No.
We're already kind of running close to the edge, but so let's move to offense.
Okay.
Our offense real quick.
Our offense.
Kirk Cousins supposedly has to put up 370 something yards to break the 5,000 mark.
Well, he's at 4,630 gross passing yards, and so that would be 370 yards passing to hit the 5,000 mark.
The vaunted 5,000. I mean,
the vaunted 5,000 mark. There's only been a handful of 5,000. No, I don't think so. There's only been a handful of 5,000, yard seasons ever. Drew Brees has 2 of them, if I recall.
Right. Brady has one. Manning has a couple.
Yeah.
I think then you have to go back to Elway or Marino or something.
Yeah,
there was
not
a
many.
big drought.
I don't have it right in front of me, but
yeah,
that's a lot of yards against a very highly rated defense.
Right.
Now, for those of you out there wondering how the Giants have won 10 games when they've only, they're 25th in points, and they've only scored 291 points. So the reason is their defense has only allowed 274 points. Their defense is third in the NFL in points surrendered. They are third in rushing yards per attempt. They're fifth in passing yards per attempt. They're sixth in yards per play. They are, you ready for this? Number 1 in the NFL in opponents' red zone efficiency. Number 1. They are third in the NFL in third down conversion rate. So this is a quality defense. They've had, they don't get a ton of interceptions. They've only had 15 interceptions, which is more than us, but it's not an outrageous amount. They are just flat out stopping people.
I mean, it's what I wish we were building towards. I think the Redskins, as we've been building our defense, they're kind of obsessed with the sacks and turnovers more than just stop people.
Yeah.
But the Giants under Coughlin, they were a get at the quarterback and, just play good, sound defensive team. And I think that's just kind of continued under Spagnuolo there. That's who he was trained under. He's a really good defensive coordinator. This is not going to be easy for Gruden to match up against them, especially if Jordan Reed's not healthy.
Yeah, and it gets worse, actually. Because teams have tried to pass against him, okay? Right. I mean, there's been 595 pass attempts on those in the season, which is 31st in the NFL, meaning only one team has been passed on more.
Right.
The opponent's quarterback rating on the season, 75.8.
Ooh.
Which is second in the NFL.
They're in that Arizona Cardinals territory.
Yes, they are. 58% completion percentage on the year. Mm-hmm. Opponent's completion percentage. And so people have passed a lot. They've not been successful, and it's not because there's a ton of interceptions. There are some interceptions, but they are just flat out stopping people in the air. On the ground, they're almost as good. 3.6 yards per attempt average opponents for their opponents. But this pass thing, obviously we're a passing team. We're going up against maybe, at least on paper, this might be the best pass defense we've seen this year. It's certainly one of a couple. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be an easy day. It depends on how motivated we are versus how motivated the Giants are. And, we already said up front that Janoris Jenkins is hurt and maybe doesn't play. Maybe Jason Pierre-Paul doesn't play. We'll have to see. But if it's a full-on, they're motivated, we're motivated, this is not going to be a cakewalk game. Just not.
No, it isn't at all. And I mean, we won the last game by only 2 points. So, granted that was at the Giants' home field, not ours.
And it was early in the year, and we weren't playing as well early in the year for sure.
Right. It's going to be a tough one. I think when you look at the games the Giants have lost in, it's been because they've turned the ball over or, they play sloppy.
Well, their offense stinks. Their offense stinks.
Right.
That's a big part of it. I mean, right. and I gave you the numbers before. I mean, their last 4 games: Eagles, Lions, Cowboys, Steelers. They did put up 27 points against the Cleveland Browns. And yes, the Steelers are a good team. Dallas obviously is a good team. Detroit's a division leader. I mean,
right.
Against good teams, they're not putting up any points.
Right.
And that's what's holding them back. They held Dallas to 7 points 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3 weeks ago. They held Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford to 6 points.
Right. The game against us was kind of an anomaly.
We've actually scored more points on them than any other team in the NFL, any other team this year.
Now, maybe that has something to do with the fact that it's a division game.
Right.
Teams know each other a little better, but
well, these teams don't like each other either.
If the Giants come to play, I'm a little worried about us winning this one. I'll be honest.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hear you because it's. I think we all us fans, at least I am. I'm just excited about the possibilities. I mean, it's going to be if we get into the playoffs,
right?
It's going to be the first time in since 1992. Well, the last time we got in the playoffs 2 years in a row was the 91-92 seasons,
right? So
24 years ago. And to me, if it works out, this is kind of a turning point. I
agree.
It's to me, it's a team has graduated from a laughingstock with a mess of a front office. A joke of a front office.
Yeah.
A team that was struggling to find itself, had some missteps, but had better personnel in place. And now, and I've been harder on Jay Gruden than anybody, but I mean, the man has produced a quality offense. Yes, there's problems, but it seems like a team that has now become respectable. Yeah. And to me, getting to the playoffs this year validates that. And I think it's very important for the state of the franchise to prove that they're a consistently good team. I think this is a very big moment for the Redskins franchise.
And I agree with all that. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but I also try and look at it big picture and say, when was the last time we even had 2 back-to-back winning seasons? I think that was 97.
96, 97 was the last year, yes.
Yeah, and we've done that, which is, already a feat in itself. If you're saying it's been 20 years since we did that.
Yeah.
Or 19 years, technically.
Just call it 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 decades. I don't want to say, I'm giving up on this game. It really will depend on how hard the Giants come out and play. It really will.
Yes.
But that said, this is our oldest rival. I know Cowboys are the big deal, but the Giants were the second team we ever played. The first one was the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they're gone. So
not the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah, no, the Brooklyn Dodgers football team.
Was it really? I didn't know that. You just taught me something.
Yeah, 1932, we played the Brooklyn Dodgers and then the New York Giants.
I bet you, how many Redskins fans out there really and truly knew that?
Well, I knew the Giants won because the Redskins won it on my birthday. It was October 9th in 1932, so I memorized that one, our first win. I had to double check. It was the Brooklyn Dodgers who we played before that.
By the way, I mean, the Giants are also one of the teams that we've had the least amount of success against over the years, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, our combined record, you want to take a stab at it?
Can you just give me a ballpark? How many games? Is it like 230 something?
It's 167 games.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
No.
I'm going to say we've won 80 in the high 80s.
Nope. We are 66, 97, and 4 against the Giants all the time. Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, they've gotten the better of us. What can we say?
That is a bad ass kicking.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's do game predictions for this game.
Okay.
Will we make it 67 wins?
Well, let me go first, I guess. Since you had to go first last time. I just can't not predict a win today. Okay.
All right.
I have to predict a win. To me, this is a big moment. I think the team knows it's a big moment. I think the players want it. I think everybody knows how big this moment is for the franchise. I think they're going to be motivated. I think they were embarrassed and humiliated against Carolina 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. They came out and they took, they really took it to the Bears because they knew they had to. It's at home, at the big Jack Kent Cooke Memorial Stadium in Rowley, Maryland. Right. And so I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Redskins win. And I think from a score perspective, I think it's going to be something along the lines of, let's say, 24-10. Redskins.
24-10?
Yep.
You know how I'm weirdly superstitious about when we both predict wins.
Was that what you were going to predict?
It's very close to what I was going to predict. You and I are in agreement on 24, but I think the Giants probably make it a little closer, like 24-17.
Okay.
But I also agree. I think the Redskins win this one. I hope Sean is like at home predicting a loss, just to make sure somebody predicts a loss.
Because he predicted like 5 wins in a row now too.
Yeah, he keeps predicting. Well, remember he had us going 10-6 in the beginning of the year. So
yeah.
So he's got. You and I are closer. We said 9-7, so I think we're in the money either way.
Well, maybe we'll just saddle Adam with a loss. We'll just say Adam was going to predict a loss.
Yeah, negative Adam. So negative.
Yeah.
Well, I think that should do it for this week's episode. Our final pregame show of the regular season. Hopefully, not our final pregame show of the year. I do want to thank.
Not.
I want to thank our fans who have been sticking with us through all this. We have had a interesting season this year, just on the podcast.
Yes.
It's been fun.
There's been a lot more chaos than you people have realized out there to do this.
Right.
And so, we do appreciate everybody listening, and more consistency is coming.
Yeah. And I think the chaos has been good. I thrive in chaos.
Mr. Chaos, Alex East.
Yeah, Captain Chaos, Alex East. I created that, not Chris Cooley.
You and Chris Cooley.
All right, well, that should do it for this week's episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And again, happy holidays and happy New Year. We will see you all on the 2017 show. So take care.
It'll be the Redskins victory show.